Daf Yomi Tractate Sanhedrin, page 12. The top of the page, actually, it's the middle of a sentence, so it was Tana Rabbanan, the last six words of the previous Amud, which says, Tanu Rabbanan, Ein Ma'abrin Es Hashana. The sages taught in the Braita to Sefta 2:5 that the court does not intercalate the year. And now we're on top of Yud Beis Amud Aleph, and it's that's 12a. Bishnei Ravon, during the years of famine. It says that the court doesn't intercalate the year during the years of famine. When grain is scarce, intercalating the year would would increase the food shortage by delaying the Omer offering. It would make it worse. Which is brought in Nisan, thereby prolonging the period during which the new crop is forbidden. Okay, makes sense. Tanya, we learned in the Braisa, Rebbe Omer, V'ish ba mi ba'al shlisha, ve'aveh le'ish ha'elohim, lechem bekurim, esrim lechem seorim. It is taught in Braita, Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi, which also known as Rebbe, says that this principle can be demonstrated based on an incident related in the Bible. The verse states with regard to the prophet Elisha, and there came a man from Baal Shalisha, and he brought to the man of God bread of the first fruits, 20 loaves of barley, and fresh ears of corn in his sack. And he said, give to the people that they may eat. 2 Kings chapter 4 and verse 42. Ve'en lecha kala b'chol eretz Yisrael libashel peroteha yoter mi Baal Shalisha. The incident is analyzed. You do not have in all of Eretz Yisrael an environment in which fruit ripens more swiftly than in Baal Shalisha. Ve'af al pi chen lo mikra ela min echad shema tomar chitim tamad lomar seorim shema tomar lifnei haomer tamad lomar ten la'am le'yochelu achad ha'omer haya achar ha'omer haya. So like we said, that Baal Shalisha is a place where the fruit ripens very swiftly. And even so, only one of the 7 species had ripened at that time, as the verse testifies that he brought him bread of the first fruits. Lest you say, the verse speaks of wheat, which ripens close to the time of the festival of Shavuot. The verse states barley. Lest you say that the incident took place before the Omer offering was sacrificed, the verse states, give to the people that they may eat. As they're permitted to eat, it must be the incident was after the Omer offering was brought. Amor emor me'ata ra'uya haita oita osa shana shetit aber mipnei ma lo ibra Elisha sheshena'at betzoret haita v'haya kol rotzin lebeis hagronois. Based on this, say that even in the place in which fruit ripened the fastest in all of Eretz Yisrael, after the Omer had been brought, only the barley had ripened. Evidently, the year was fit to be intercalated, because the spring produce was not sufficiently mature in time. And for what reason did the prophet Elisha not intercalate it? Because it was a year of scarcity, as described in the Bible. See 2 Kings 4:38. And everyone was running to the granary. Intercalating the year would have made it even more difficult to obtain produce. Tanu Abanan ein ma'avrim es hashonos ni rosh hashanah ve'im mibhua eino meveres aval mipnei hadchak me'avrin oisa achal rosh hashanah miyad ve'af al pi ken ein ma'avrin ela adar. The sages taught in a Braita to Sefta 2:3 The court may not intercalate the year before Rosh Hashanah. And if the court intercalated it this early, it is not intercalated. But if there was a need to intercalate it early due to exigent circumstances, for example, religious persecution, they may intercalate it immediately after Rosh Hashanah. Even so, they may intercalate it only by adding a second month of Adar. Aini, the Gemara asks, is that so? Zug ba marakas. Utfaso nesher, uviado dvarim na'asim b'zluz, umayniyu techeles, v'zchut rav v'zchutam yotzu b'shalom. The Gemara asks, is that so, that intercalation may be determined only after Rosh Hashanah? But the sages of Eretz Yisrael sent the following encoded message to Rabbah during the time of Roman persecution. A pair of Torah scholars came from Rakath, the biblical name for Tiberias. Interesting, I never knew that. Rakath. It's Tiberia. See Joshua 19:35, which was the seat of the Sanhedrin in Rabbah's time. They meant to reach the diaspora community, but the pair was apprehended by the eagle, meaning Roman soldiers, whose symbol was the eagle. So I think even in the Gemara, the writing in code was apprehended by the eagle. Roman soldiers, and in their possession were precious items made in luz. The Gemara interrupts the story to explain, and what are those items from luz? Sky blue dye, which is necessary for ritual fringes. The message continued, in the merit of divine mercy, and in their merit, they were spared execution and emerged in peace. Nevertheless, they did not reach their destination. They probably confiscated the techilas. They probably sent them back, but they weren't killed. ומוסר נחשון ביקשו לקבוע נסיבך ולא הניחן אדוני הלוז אבל בעלי אסופויס נעשו וקבעו לו נציב אחד בירך שמש בו אהרון הכהן. חשוב ומחשבי גלוי לא מגלם. The message continued, and the offspring of Nachshon, meaning the sages of the court of the Nasi, who was descended from the prince of Yehuda, Nachshon ben Aminadav, see Numbers 7:12, sought to establish a pillar, that they sought to add a month to the year. But that Edomite, the local Roman governor, did not allow them to intercalate the year. Nevertheless, the members of the assembly gathered, and they established a pillar in the month in which Aaron the priest died. In other words, the sages of Eretz Yisrael convened in the month of Av, which is before Rosh Hashanah, and determined that the following year should be intercalated. Evidently, then, in exigent circumstances, intercalation may be done even before Rosh Hashanah. The Gemara answers, the court may calculate the need for an extra month even before Rosh Hashanah, but they may not reveal and publicize the decision until after Rosh Hashanah. My mashma d'hai nitziv lishnadiachahu dichsiv v'lishloimish ne'masar nitzavim al kol Yisrael v'chilkelu et hamelech v'et anashav chodesh bashana v'yaketiv ונציב אחד אשר בארץ, רב יהודה רב נחמן אחד אמר, אחד מימון על כולם, אחד אמר כנגד חודש העיבור. The Gemara asks about the language of the coded message. From where may it be inferred that this word pillar, netziv, is a term for a month? As it is written, and Solomon had 12 officers, netzivim, over all of Eretz Yisrael, and they provided for the king and his household for a month in the year. 1 Kings 4:7. This indicates that each netziv was responsible for a particular month. Nitziv. That's good to know. Nitziv can mean month. Let's see what's the gematria of Nitziv. So it's good to find out. 152. Okay. Yeah. Okay. This indicates that each Nitziv was responsible for a particular month. Once this verse was quoted, the Gemara inquires, but isn't it written afterward? And one officer that was in the land. 1 Kings 4:19, indicating that there were more than 12 Nitzivim. Rabbi Yehuda and Rav Nachman offer answers. One says one officer was appointed over all the others, and one says the extra officer corresponded to the intercalated month. If the year had an additional month, he was responsible for the king's provisions during that month. Tanu Rabanan, ein ma'aver shona loy mishona lechaverto, v'loy shloy shonim zu achar zu. Omer Reb Shimon, masber Reb Akiva shehaya chavush beveit ha'asurim, v'iber shloy shonim zu achar zu. Amru loy misham raya. Beis din Yashu v'kavu achas bismano. The sages taught in a Braita to Sefta 2:4, the court may not intercalate the year from one year to another, and it does not intercalate 3 successive years. One directly after the other. I don't understand. I mean, if it says you can't intercalate one to the other, then it goes automatically that you can't do 3 years. I don't know why. It seems redundant, but anyway. Rabbi Shimon says there was an incident involving Rabbi Akiva at the time when he was incarcerated in prison, and he intercalated 3 years, one after the other. The sages said to Rabbi Shimon, is there any proof from there? Rabbi Akiva merely made the calculations, but a special court sat and established each one at its time. Tanu Rabanan, Yomalen Lamaise, Ema Bezashana Labishvius, Lemase Bishvius. Amos Ayragin Labed, Erev Shvius, Shel Beis Rabban Gamliel Hayu, Me'avri Moise Shvius. The sages taught in a Braita to Sefta 2:5, the court may not intercalate the year in the sabbatical year, so as not to prolong the prohibitions of the sabbatical year, nor in the year after sabbatical year, when there is not much produce available, and delaying the consumption of the new crop would also cause hardship. When is the court accustomed to intercalate? On the eve of the sabbatical year, which causes no particular challenges. Nevertheless, the courts of the house of Rabban Gamliel would intercalate the year in the year after the sabbatical year. Uviplukta da'aitanai detanya ein mavi'in yarak mechutza la'aretz v'rawiseinu yitiru mai b'naihu am Rabbi Yirmiyah choishishin legusheyan ika b'naihu. And they disagree with regard to the issue that is the subject of the dispute between these Tanaim, as it is taught in a Braita, one may not import vegetables in the sabbatical year from outside Eretz Yisrael, and our rabbis permitted importing such produce. According to the opinion that permits importing produce from outside Eretz Yisrael, there is no concern that the food supply will be exhausted. Therefore, the year following the sabbatical year may be intercalated. The Gemara asks, what is the reason for the difference between these two opinions concerning importing produce from outside Eretz Yisrael? Rabbi Yirmiyah says the difference between them relates to whether one is concerned for their clods of earth. Although all agree that the earth outside Eretz Yisrael conveys ritual impurity, the Tanaim dispute whether it is therefore forbidden to bring vegetables into Eretz Yisrael due to concern that small clods of earth may cling to them. Tanu Rabbanan ein mamrin es hashana mipnei hatuma. The sages taught in Brisa to Sefta 2:10, the court may not intercalate the year due to ritual impurity, meaning in the event that most of the Jewish people are in a state of impurity, to give them enough time to become ritually pure before Passover. Rabbi Yehuda Omer Ma'abrin Omer Rabbi Yehuda Ma'aseh V'chizkiya Melech Yehuda she'iber es hashana mipnei hatuma u'bikesh rachamim al atzmo. Dichtiv ki marbit ha'am Rabat me'Ephraim u'Menashe Yisachar u'Zvulun lo hitaru. Rabbi Yehuda says the court may intercalate the year due to ritual impurity. Rabbi Yehuda said there was an incident involving Hezekiah, king of Judah, who intercalated the year due to ritual impurity. 2 Chronicles chapter 30, verse 2. After doing so, he requested compassion for himself, as it is written, for a multitude of the people, even many of Ephraim and Manasseh, Yisachar and Zebulun, had not cleansed themselves.